Good evening, this is Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. For the second day running, the Prime Minister tore into the opposition in his reply to the motion of thanks to the President's address. He made a simple proposition before the people of India. On the issue of corruption, do you trust Modi or do you trust the Congress party with its history of scams in the UPA era? Now, his parting line, Ek Modi Akela Sab par Bhari, that seems to be an indication of what is to come in 2024, the framing of the narrative, as it were, going into the big general election. Is it going to be Modi versus all come 2024? But first, the story.
जितना कीचड़ उछालोगे कमल उतना ही ज्यादा खिलेगा.
Prime Minister Modi refused to be drowned out by opposition chants and delivered another resolute reply to the motion of thanks on the President's address.
हमने श्रेय का रास्ता चुना है, प्रिय लग जाए आराम कर लें, वो रास्ता हमने नहीं चुना है.
For the second day in a row, he accused the Congress of glossing over their own shortcomings.
कांग्रेस को बार-बार देश नकार रहा है, लेकिन कांग्रेस और उसके साथी अपनी साजिशों से बाज नहीं आते हैं और जनता ये देख भी रही है और उनको हर मौके पर सजा भी देती रही.
He asked why none of the Gandhis used Nehru as their surname and said India is not slave to any family.
ये देश किसी परिवार की जागीर नहीं है. उनकी पीढ़ी का कोई व्यक्ति नेहरू सरनेम रखने से डरता क्यों है? क्या शर्मिंदगी है नेहरू सरनेम रखने से? क्या शर्मिंदगी है? इतना बड़ा महान व्यक्तित्व.
Throughout Prime Minister Modi's 83 minutes long address in the Rajya Sabha, there were loud and unrelenting chants from the opposition benches targeting him over the Adani controversy.
Honorable members,
the opposition has been demanding a joint parliamentary probe into allegations linked to the Adani group. But the Prime Minister brought down the House with this resounding finish.
देश देख रहा है, एक अकेला कितनों को भारी पड़ रहा है. एक अकेला कितनों को भारी पड़ रहा है. देश के लिए जीता हूँ, देश के लिए कुछ करने के लिए निकला हुआ हूँ और इसलिए ये राजनीतिक खेल खेलने वाले लोग, उनके अंदर वो हौसला नहीं है. वो ढूंढ रहे हैं, बचने का रास्ता खोज रहे हैं.
So has the Prime Minister set the tone for the 2024 Lok Sabha elections?
All right, let me open this up to our guests. It's a short face-off tonight here on Brass Tacks. Aparajita Sarangi is BJP MP and national spokesperson. Shama Mohammed, Congress Party spokesperson, and Advaita Kala, author and political analyst, joining us. Let me start with Shama Mohammed because both yesterday and today, in response to the Adani allegations, the Prime Minister's manner of response or the way to respond to those allegations seems to be that he is putting this firmly in the court of public opinion and saying, on the issue of corruption, who do you trust? Do you trust me, Modi, or do you trust the Congress party with its history of UPA scams? That seems to be his response to all the questions that the opposition has put to him and, for the better part of many days now, held the budget session hostage to. Shama Mohammed. Shama Mohammed, can you hear me? All right, I'll go back to Dr. Shama Mohammed in just a moment once her audio line is fixed. But Aparajita Sarangi, is that the strategy that Mr. Modi is now putting this back in the court of public opinion and saying, on corruption, who would you choose? Would you choose me or would you choose the opposition represented by the Congress?
A very good evening. Let's first of all try to understand the background of this entire speech, fiery speech by the Honorable Prime Minister yesterday and today in both houses of the Parliament. We were discussing the presidential address and the motion of thanks had to go on. And at that point of time, Rahul Gandhi in the Lok Sabha talks of a particular person and a particular organization. Now, without any documentary evidence, without any proof, He kept on talking about that organization, and thereafter the entire Congress and of course the other political parties also joined the bandwagon. They all started. Now here is a Prime Minister who actually gave very befitting reply to all these critics, and it would not be an exaggeration if I can say that yesterday and today, after his fiery speech, and a speech filled with content, a speech filled with conviction and a kind of commitment towards the cause of the nation, he has silenced all his critics.
But Aparajita Sarangi, the critics, those critics that you refer to, Aparajita Sarangi,
gives-
those very same critics that you refer to are saying
Yeah.
that in the last two speeches that he made, well over an hour in both houses, he did not refer to the issue at hand even once, the issue that has held Parliament hostage for the better part of the last week, 10 days.
I can only say that unless documentary evidence is given, that particular issue should not be spoken about. One. Number two, please remember 2-3 days back, Madam Nirmala Sitharaman had come out into the open and she had given interviews and she had mentioned that SEBI is the regulator, SEBI is doing its job. And LIC and SBI have come out and have issued separate statements. So I think SEBI is doing the job. SEBI will come out with a comprehensive report, and then thereafter what's to be done will be done.
All right.
Now, I can only say that the business community has to grow in the country, and various businessmen are growing, and it's a good sign for the country.
Let me ask
What's
Dr.
wrong with
Shama
that?
Mohammed, you may not like the manner of his reply or the way he chose to reply, but this is the Prime Minister telling the people of India, you decide on the issue of corruption, are you going to choose me, Modi, or are you going to choose the UPA with its history of all the scams from 2004 to 2014? And in that count, on this issue, he seems to be directly throwing the gauntlet back at you.
Okay, first a couple of points, Zaka. I've been sitting here for 10 minutes and I've been connected after the show is on. I fail to understand. So
No,
I,
I came to you first.
I
came to you first. You couldn't hear me.
No, but they did not connect. It's not you.
I apologize for the audio
so it
line.
doesn't matter.
But go ahead, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, it's okay. Yeah, so a couple of points. Now, the Prime Minister keeps saying about scams from before 2014. Now, I want to know what are these so-called scams. No, you just can't come every time and lie to the people of India. Now, I remember he said helicopter. I know that is Augusta Westland. What did we do after Augusta Westland? We stopped the contract immediately. We did a CBI probe was started immediately. And even in Parliament, we said we are ready for a JPC. We never said that. And whenever so-called allegations has happened, the minister, including chief ministers, have stepped down and an impartial investigation happens. That's why we ask them to step down. And whenever we say whatever, the coal scam, so-called coal scam, the 2G, the Supreme Court has clearly said there was no scam. So nobody has been convicted. Let's understand that. Who is the only person who I remember has got convicted in a scam or corruption is Yediyurappa. After being convicted in 2011, he was made the CM by Mr. Modi. Na khaunga, na khane dunga. What has happened there? So let's get the facts right. Now, in terms of this case of Mr. Adani, what I want to point out is in 2019, there was the finance ministry as well as Niti Aayog objected to giving 6 contracts, 6 of the airports to one bidder. They clearly came out and said, even the Department of Economic Affairs says that this should not be done because it is a huge capital investment, it's a financial risk, and also in terms of competition, it is best to give one bidder, just 2 airports. Okay, this is coming from the government of India. But this was overruled. And also they gave an example of GMR, which was during our time when the airport was given to GMR. It was the best bidder in both for Delhi as well as Mumbai. But it was only given Delhi. So this was there. It was there before. So why was this particular person
Shama
given
Mohammed,
all?
can I ask one thing? If you have this information, you can go ahead and challenge this in a court of law. Let the court decide and go into the merits of whether and why these objections were overruled. Your leader, one second. Your leader, when he spoke in Parliament 2 days ago, he made a specific charge that GVK, the company that used to run the Mumbai airport, was pressured to give the contract to the Adani Group. Subsequently, the next day, the person in charge of the GVK group of companies came out and said that no such thing happened. In fact, they were looking to sell and they were trying to sell for a number of months. Finally, it was Mr. Adani who showed interest and wrapped up the deal in a month, thereby refuting what your leader said on the floor of the House.
See, everybody lives in fear. I do know many important businessmen, when the shares of the Adani was down, they were called. I'm not going to name who, but the second topmost guy called them up and said, the shares, you must buy it. We know what's happening in this country. So, they can be pressurized to tell these things. We know how it functions. But there are these things which I have told you just now, which has come out, and every time you say challenge in the court of law. So I fail to understand, why do we have an executive? Every case when it comes to Rafale, everything go to Supreme Court. So let the Supreme Court be in charge of this country. Why do we need Mr. Narendra Modi?
Okay.
Did he answer anything we have asked him? Every time he has this thing about going back to, I want the BJP
I want to get Advaita Kala to respond.
Which are the so-called scams?
I think Advaita Kala, I think what we are seeing, I think, is a trailer, if you will, of what we can expect in 2024. I thought both the speech in the Lok Sabha yesterday and the one in the Rajya Sabha today was setting the stage. It was more election speech than parliamentary speech. It is setting the stage for what could likely be a dominant theme going in the run-up to 2024. The problem, though, is we have seen this script play itself out previously. In 2019, Rahul Gandhi and the Congress party went hammer and tongs on Rafale. But the people of India, for whatever it's, they came to the conclusion, or they came to the opinion, the majority opinion, that they don't believe that Mr. Modi is corrupt, or at least the allegations did not stick, which is why he came back with an even bigger majority. Once again, is the opposition making the same mistake? What was Rafale in 2019 could be Adani in 2024, thereby giving Mr. Modi an advantage. You're playing the same script again, giving him an advantage. You have to unmute, Advaita.
Sorry, Zaka, I was on mute. I think the important thing to note here is that even with the Rafale case, it was brought up in Parliament again by Mr. Rahul Gandhi and was debunked by French embassy and French ministry officials to the extent that it could have possibly been a diplomatic episode, because there was an illusion that the French were lying and the French in the highest office of the land were lying. Subsequently, this time around as well, you have the statement about GVK in which Sanjay Reddy, very much the man behind the airport deal, comes out and specifically debunks it and lays out the entire timeline of the transaction in the post-COVID scenario. I'm afraid conjecture cannot be the basis of debate and discussion in Parliament. It can be the basis of debate and discussion on TV or on YouTube or in the newspaper columns, but it cannot be the basis of debate in Parliament. I mean, you have lies being called out in real time by corporate India, like we saw. You have MPs, elected MPs, using abusive language in Parliament. You've had sloganeering while the Prime Minister was speaking right through. Now, look at it from the perspective of just the ordinary Indian who is watching Parliament. Someone like me and millions of others like me do not have access to Parliament. Okay. What we see on TV is what we know and what we experience, and that is what we base our perceptions on. Now, Prime Minister Modi is a masterful orator. He knows that when he speaks, it's not only those heckling parliamentarians who he's addressing, but he's addressing the entire nation. And you're absolutely right. He played to the galley. He took it a step forward. He discussed every single thing that his government has achieved, despite the heckling. And what is the opposition coming back with, apart from abuses? I mean, it's shocking the kind of language that was used in Parliament the other day. And I'm sure, I mean, be it Ms. Sarangi or Shama, I mean, that's not the kind of language we want even from women parliamentarians.
Okay.
I mean, we call it out with men all the time.
But
that's the kind of environment that existed in Parliament. Are you expecting us to take people like that seriously?
Let me go back to Aparajita Sarangi. What the opposition's point is that, what Shama Mohammed cited about, concerns raised by various ministries. There was also the instance cited today in Parliament about how there was a Sri Lankan official who, quote unquote, told a parliamentary committee there that they were pressured to give a particular project to this business conglomerate. Aren't these questions that deserve a probe, whether JPC or no? Aren't these questions that deserve a probe? I mean, it goes back to the Hindenburg report, which seemed to suggest that there were shell companies that were used to round trip money. Shouldn't that be probed? And if it is false, so be it. I mean, let the truth come out.
I would be reiterating what I said. See, when you level charges against none less other than the Prime Minister of the country, you should have the maturity to come to the Lok Sabha or come to the floor of the Parliament with documentary evidence. There has to be proof. Otherwise, you cannot just speak about the Prime Minister in that particular tone. So I think if there had been proof, it would have been probed. But the fact remains, I reiterate, Madam Nirmala Sitharaman was candid. SEBI as a regulator is probing. It's the job of SEBI. Let SEBI come out with a report, and I think the entire nation would get to know. Now here, I would definitely like to mention that with a very heavy heart we saw the proceedings of the Rajya Sabha today. Yesterday I was sitting in the Lok Sabha, and today on the television we saw the proceedings of the Rajya Sabha. Very rightly said by the speaker, the friend on the panel, that this is not the kind of behavior that is to be shown when the Prime Minister is talking. See, the Prime Minister is talking on various issues, and here is a Prime Minister who knows that he should give his report card to the people of India, and who feels accountable to the electorate. It's very important on various issues. You heard him. He came up with facts and figures. Here is a Prime Minister who has complete grip over the subject that he's dealing with. Here is a Prime Minister who walks the talk. And then there is a bunch of all these opposition parties who did not, kind of allow him to speak properly. It must have been such a strain for him to speak in the manner he did today. And as far as Congress is concerned, I must say emphatically that they don't have the moral authority to talk about corruption.
The issue comes back to what is the proof of public corruption? The public exposure to Adani, as has been clarified by the CMD of SBI and LIC, is less than 1% each in both of those companies. Do you have any material in your hands which shows that public money was looted in exchange for this one company?
Is that question to me?
Yes, ma'am, to you. Yeah.
Zaka?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of things. First and foremost, I just want to tell that Adwaita said something. She said conjecture. Yeah, conjecture is one thing. What about lies of Prime Minister Modi when he talks of corruption or scams before 2014? He has to stop lying also, isn't it, Adwaita? Why does he keep saying when nothing has been proven, none of our people have been convicted in the Congress party? The only one who has been convicted of corruption is Yediyurappa. So why don't you, Adwaita, say that loud and clear? So we are not. Next, she said about abuse.
Jaka, can I come in, please?
One second, ma'am.
Today, we don't have Sushma Swaraj or Jaitley. Let me finish. Jaitley, they used to call chor to Manmohan Singh inside Parliament. The Prime Minister of the country has said the former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh wears a raincoat under a shower. I mean, is that not insult and abuse? Maybe your insult and abuse is different. For me, this is insult.
No, Shama, can you answer the question that I asked you, please? Can you please answer the question I asked you?
I have to, they were talking about. Now, we have to understand, most important is when there are huge allegations like this. Also in 2019, SEBI, the finance ministry in Parliament had said that there is a investigation because of investigation of the Adani, because they were trying to manipulate stocks. Now, my question today is that why is SEBI not involved when something huge like this? We have seen that why is our regulator, even in UK, the regulatory body has started investigation. All right. Why is that? Why is it not getting involved? Is one, and number two, why is the government scared of JPC?
You have still not answered my question, which is, please, if you have material to show that public money was plundered or looted, then please place that evidence in the public domain. Secondly,
that's what I'm
one second.
Secondly, that is not my job.
Secondly,
that is
Then why are you holding a parliament? If that's not your job, then why are you holding a parliament? Why should the Indian taxpayer, the Indian voter, put up with this circus if you're saying that it is not your job?
So listen, so tell me something. When all these so-called allegations happened during our time, was it the BJP which was doing? It is the investigating agencies at that point of time. And now it's the job of the regulatory, SEBI. And also we're asking for a joint parliamentary committee probe. So why don't you go for a JPC? We are all involved. Their party, our party, everybody is
Adwaita, I'll give Adwaita the final word. I have to wrap up in a couple of minutes. Dr. Shama Mohammed, please yield.
I mean, you can't just point...
Adwaita Kala, look, this back and forth, will keep going on and on, even beyond this parliament session. What I do want to know was, I think, in that parting shot that he referred to, the Prime Minister in his Rajya Sabha speech, where he said, "Ek Admi Akela Sab par Bhari." Is that going to be the positing for 2024? Because it's going to be Modi versus all. And we've seen this even in 2019, when SP and BSP came together in Uttar Pradesh, and other parties came together to take on the BJP. In Maharashtra, we saw, the Shiv Sena, NCP and Congress all coming together to take on the BJP. Somehow, when it is Modi versus all, it's Modi who seems to have the advantage.
That, and I must remind Shama that Rahul Gandhi is out on bail right now in the National Herald case. So, on what basis is he standing in Parliament and accusing other people just on the basis, I repeat, of conjecture and hearsay that the government has been involved or the Prime Minister directly has been involved in some level of corruption? I'm sorry, you have to come up with facts. This defamation has carried on for too long. It's embarrassed the country when it came to Rafale and relationships with France. Today, it's embarrassing the country watching this going on in Parliament. And there's no two ways about it. I think the Prime Minister if there's one thing that's not worked for the opposition in the past, it has been to attack the Prime Minister's personal honesty. That has not flown, be it with the Chaukidar Chor Hai jibe or now with this whole drama over Adani. It's not worked even from an electoral point of view. So I think it's important for them to be realistic about what they face, about the kind of strength that the Prime Minister brings to the electorate, and target him if they must on something which is going to fly. In this case, they end up just looking like they're flying kites. Because you're right, you've asked this repeatedly, where is the proof? And that's what the country is going to ask. Where is the proof? Because anyone can say anything about anyone in a free democracy. That doesn't mean it's proof of fact.
I'm going to wrap up because I'm out of time. All I'll say, and I'll wrap up by saying this, that it's no one's case that the regulators should not probe these allegations that have been brought forth, and not least because of the fallout of those allegations. There's 10 lakh crores worth of valuation and investor money that's been wiped out. But that is between the people who invested in this company and that company, right? It is not public money, not more than 1% of LIC's exposure, not more than 1% of SBI's exposure. But public, you go to the man on the street and ask him, is this an issue that affects you? I'm not sure that this is an issue that affects the average man on the street. And ultimately, coming back to the point that I started with, when it comes to the issue of corruption, if the framing in the 2024 campaign is going to be Modi versus UPA, then I think it's a pretty straightforward framing, and it's not something that would be particularly advantageous to the opposition. We'll move on to the other part, which is a massive story coming in from Mumbai. CNN News 18 has managed to access a 600-page chart sheet in the PFI case filed by the Maharashtra Anti-Terrorism Squad. It is an extensive document which lists out in great detail the rather sinister and nefarious nature of this prescribed organization. The most striking part is a document which has been recovered from one of the PFI operatives, allegedly, in which it is said that there is an open declaration to make India an Islamic state by 2047. So this is what CNN News 18 has managed to get a hand on. This is the internal document. It's a chart sheet. Basis that chart sheet, or inside that chart sheet, is an internal document of the PFI which allegedly gives a framework to make India into an Islamic state by 2047. As per the Maharashtra ATS's charge sheet, the PFI has a 4-step program for this. Step 1 is using religious leaders to bring the community under one roof and constantly reminding the community that atrocities are being committed against them here in India. Step 2 is seeking funds from Islamic countries which will then be used by PFI cadre to create violence in the country. Step 3 is use communities like the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes to create distrust for the RSS and spread the idea that the RSS is only popular with upper caste Hindus. And finally, step 4 is getting PFI cadre elected as well as them entering the ranks of the police and the judiciary. This is as has been alleged by the Maharashtra ATS in its charge sheet. Now, how have they come to this judgment in the charge sheet that's been filed before an anti-terror court? The ATS had arrested 5 alleged members of the PFI. This was in September of last year when there was a massive crackdown that happened nationwide across from Delhi to Mumbai to Kerala. They went on to record of these 5 alleged members 27 witness statements as well as collecting documents and came to this assertion that PFI members had held secret meetings in Chembur, in Dharavi, Kurla, Thane, Nerul, Panvel and Mumbra. As part of their meetings, discussions were also held to include Muslim youth and convince them that their religion is in danger and in order to mobilize them against others. According to the ATS's charge sheet, the organization had intended to replace the Indian constitution with Sharia in order to establish an Islamic state. The documents added that the PFI wanted to paint a picture that atrocities are meted out against Muslims in the country and Muslim youth should identify themselves as Muslims and not as Indians. Further, this plan was to radicalize the youth to use arms for which they would seek help from international organizations and to disrupt the nature of rule of law in the country. Now, while the PFI's sinister designs are unraveling, the government has also cracked down on the PFI over the last few months. In September of 2022, over 100 senior functionaries and cadre of the PFI were arrested. This was a joint operation conducted by the National Investigation Agency, the Enforcement Directorate, and the State Police in at least 15 different state locations across the country. Less than a week later came a second swoop. 270 PFI members were arrested from 7 states. Those arrested were allegedly involved in mobilizing sympathy for this prescribed outfit. The agencies cracked down on not just the cadre, but even those who were linked to the PFI in any tangential way. PFI workers hit back and went on a vandalism spree in Kerala and in large parts of Tamil Nadu as well, targeting shops and public transport during a so-called hartal. Within days, the centre banned the PFI for 5 years under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. The Kerala High Court too slapped a 5 crore bill on PFI vandals and the properties of PFI members were attached. The court had specifically said that whatever damages public transport and public infrastructure had sustained at the hands of these PFI individuals needs to be recovered from them. Now, in December, the NIA submitted an affidavit in a special court in Kochi and made some startling revelations in that affidavit. According to the NIA, the PFI is a secret wing of reporters to collect details of leaders of other communities and prepare a list of targets. Referring to some of the murders committed by PFI cadre in Kerala, the NIA claimed in its affidavit that victims were randomly selected by the leadership of PFI, they were studied, permissions were given to attack and kill the victims brutally so as to send a message of terror. Some PFI leaders and cadre had propagated the ideology of ISIS and youths were encouraged to join terror outfits like the Lashkar-e-Taiba, Al-Qaeda and ISIS. The probe also revealed suspicious transaction of funds that were used for unlawful activities. Now, at the end of the day, the Popular Front of India is only another version, or a renamed version, if you will, of the Students' Islamic Movement of India, or SIMI. SIMI too was declared a banned terrorist organization way back in 2001. And just like the PFI's plan was to create an Islamic state, SIMI's aim was to quote-unquote liberate India through jihad. When SIMI was banned, the PFI rose and it further spread its wings, launching its political arm, the Social Democratic Party of India, the SDPI, and the student wing, the Campus Front of India. So whether it is SIMI or PFI or any other name, they have a history of molding this organization into something new and spreading the same hate. Let me now go across to our guests who are joining us. PK Jain is former IPS officer, Binay Kumar Singh, author and researcher, Atikur Rahman, Islamic scholar, also joining us. Atikur Rahman, the question that stares everyone in the face is, here is an organization that claimed to represent Indian Muslims. Here is an organization that said that Indian Muslims are victimized and the only way out is to, take jihad against the Indian state. Why should the Indian government not have proscribed this organization, banned this organization, ensured that all the members of this organization are put behind bars and all its assets and properties are attached?
Zakka, what I feel with this charge sheet and what you are claiming about PFI is, I was the one every time I have, supported the PFI, and now the government of India has banned it. Our support, my support especially, is only to such organizations which are constitutional in nature. The moment the government agencies establish that they are into, some illegal activities or unconstitutional activities, it's a far-fetched phenomena that any Muslim group, organization will be supporting such organization, period. The moment we say that the constitution is supreme in India and the constitution is workable, the government is ensuring everything related to constitution. There is no theory of any Islamic state.
But Atikur Rahman, why then were certain, even political parties that had been in power, why were they looking the other way to the activities of this notorious group of people?
This is a big question, Zakka, wherein the political parties, need to answer this. Furthermore, since so many years we are discussing PFI, but why was it not banned if the charges are so serious? Along with it, Zakka, I would say the Vision 2047 document I have in my hand right now, which was given to me in Delhi by some PFI workers when I was in some studios of India channels. This is the Vision 2047. Nowhere it is mentioned that the PFI is into unconstitutional measures or they want to form Islamic State.
Okay, I want to go back and qualify this for our viewers. This is as per a charge sheet filed by the Maharashtra ATS. It is, of course, incumbent on the prosecution agencies to prove this in a court of law. So let me ask Mr. PK Jain, as a former IPS officer, how easy or difficult would it be to prove this in a court of law, Mr. Jain? Because the defense can always take the view that this was concocted or this was planted evidence, so on and so forth. No such thing, like Atikur Rahman was saying, that there was no such thing in the Vision 2047 document of the PFI.
Zakka, very valid question. See, I would like to state here that it took the government of India some time to collect, collate and analyze the evidence that was available against this organization. This organization's footprint, the footprint of organization, footprint of organizing terrorist activities, footprint of creating a communal divide has been there for quite some time. The organization has been in the forefront of fanning communal violence in the state of Kerala and many other places. In fact, they have a very, very wide network in the country. It took some time for the intelligence organizations to collate the entire information, because I think it all happened with the change of the government. The government was probably not in a mood to do it, and so was the government in the state of Kerala also. Now, once this information...
Okay, we'll go... All right.
It was created, and then the action was taken, and now it will not be very difficult, because see, organizations like SIMI, the earlier organizations like Indian Mujahideen, all these organizations were also banned. They also contested the ban on them. Mm-hmm. But the information and intelligence was so accurate and so overwhelming that they could not succeed in the courts at all. And this organization will also not be able to succeed in its design in case it was to contest it. My only regret here is that very few people have been taken into custody, very few people have been arrested. In fact, the arrest and the seizure of confiscation of property should have been a much more wider activity by the investigating agencies, which
So-
to my mind has not taken place.
So let me ask Binay Kumar Singh. I'm just looking at the cases of murder in which PFI activists have been arrested. Of course, this has to be again proven in a court of law, but they are the main accused in these murder cases. And I want to list them out one by one. Karnataka, August 2022, the Praveen Nattaru murder case that we saw in coastal Karnataka. In Kerala, November 2021, the Sanjit murder case. Again in Kerala 2021, the Nandu murder case. Tamil Nadu 2019, V. Ramalingam murder case. Kerala 2018, Abhimanyu murder case. Kerala 2017, Bibin murder case. Karnataka 2017, Sharat murder case. I can go on and on. The list is almost endless of the number of heinous crimes, murders in which PFI activists are the main accused. Wasn't this warning enough, Binay Kumar Singh, that this organization, its activities need to be curtailed, its activities need to be outlawed, because there are far too many of its members who are wanted for such heinous crime and for such multiple cases across multiple states?
Yeah, look, the matter is that even PFI is not surprised that why PFI is banned. PFI was born to be banned. It is Simi. It is the new avatar of Simi. And it is, you can say it is the same wine into the new bottle. The packaging is only new. And let me make it clear that PFI was practitioner of the fifth generation warfare. And what are the ingredients of the fifth generation warfare? Social engineering plus propaganda. Social engineering blended with propaganda. So if you look at the modus operandi of PFI, Dalit Muslim Alliance, or identifying Muslims as just simply Muslims, not just as Indians, it was part of their social engineering, which is in fact, the modus operandi of the fifth generation warfare. And look, PFI is a very smart organization. They are very over smart. So the chassis filed by the Maharashtra ATS is nothing new. The same document which was seized in the Patna case.
Okay.
And something big was planned. They were planning to kill the Prime Minister of this country in Patna. So this Vision 2047, this document was seized in Patna. And let me make you once again this thing very clear, that there is two ideas of India. One idea is of the people, those who love India. They want India in 2047, when India completes 100 years of its independence, they want India to move into the next league. They want India to move into a developed nation, not just remain a developing nation. And the other idea is of the PFI, those who want to dismember India, those who want to bleed India, those who want to break India.
Atikur Rahman, you look at the strategy document in which it is said there is a pattern. There is a pattern in which they are trying to lure young Muslim boys and girls, radicalize them. This constant sort of narrative building that Muslims are victimized, the entire community is victimized. They will not be treated as equal citizens in India under an NDA government, under a Modi government. This constant sort of narrative building, almost victimization mentality that's been forged, that is contrary to the reality on the ground. The reality on the ground is that the number of communal incidents in the last 8 years of the NDA government has come down. Yes, there was a bump up in the first couple of years, but after that it has been coming down quite steadily. Number two, the government is saying that there is no discrimination when it comes to any of the government policies, from Swachh Bharat to Ujjwala to Har Ghar Jal, or any policy. It's not like the government says, oh, we will not give this to Muslim beneficiaries, or we will not send this to Muslim homes. So this narrative of constant victimization of an entire community, that is purely for nefarious purposes, because the reality does not bear that out.
Zakar, let the things be in perspective. You see, you tell me PFI, it is a banned organization. In the last couple of years, 8 years so, which Muslim organization have not been labeled the same charges? We have seen the Tablighi Jamaat event, the same charges were there against it: foreign funding, nefarious activities, illegal, buildings, etc., etc. When you talk of madrasas, the same labeling of the charges. When you talk of the All India Muslim Personal Law Board, same charges. which Muslim organization under the BJP rule has not been charged with nefarious activities? PFI, if they are committing some crimes, of course, I am not belittling the Maharashtra ATS or any other state agencies. These charges need to be proven in the
But
court of
Atikur
law.
Rahman,
And I
you know,
can
there are
assure you,
any
the
number
Muslim
of
community
Atikur Rahman. Once again, there are
never,
any
ever
number
support
of
such
there are any
organizations.
number of Muslim social welfare organizations that are all functioning in this country. There are political parties who claim to represent only Muslims who are thriving in this country. So where from does this narrative of victimhood, this mentality of victimhood, where does that come from? Yes.
I will answer this,
You can cite instances of lynching, etc., but those are one-off instances. Those are not mass patterns.
Well, Zakka, I would answer this. I am telling you, since the BJP led by RSS government has taken power in India, they are, trying every effort to demonize the community. They are trying to marginalize the Muslim community. And I'll give you one single example, that the minority status of the community is being belittled by the spokesperson of the BJP, saying that they are not a minority but the second largest majority. Secondly, they have challenged the Aligarh Muslim unity minority status in the Supreme Court. Third and most important, Zakka, I am telling you, since the days the BJP has come to power, and I am not supporting, for God's sake, PFI.
Okay, got it.
PFI support or any support to any such organization is only up to the limit of they being constitutional in nature.
Okay. Binay Kumar Singh, please respond to what Atikur Rahman is saying, that since the NDA government came to power, there is this constant sort of name-calling and shaming of Muslims that happens in the public domain, which leads many in the community to believe that they are not treated as equal citizens in this country.
I have serious objections to what Mr. Atikur Rahman has said. And Mr. Atikur Rahman is doing the same thing what the PFI does. You are trying to instigate the Muslims, you are trying to instigate a certain community that they are not treated well. I can say without doubt that the Indian Muslims are the most peace-loving and the most happiest citizen on this earth. You want the Muslims to be like they are treated in Pakistan, or they are treated like they are treated in China? Indian Muslims have no complaint from this country. And it is people with their own agenda, their organizations with their nefarious designs and agenda, those who are instigating the Muslim youths. And look, the radicalization of Muslim youths, that is not a matter which is just limited to India. It is it is across the globe. Even the country like Pakistan, they are trying to deal with the radicalization of
I would like to
youths in higher educational institutions. They are trying to find out ways. And I have serious objection if you say that this is a RSS government. No, this is not. This is a government of people of India. And all the Hindus and Muslims and Sikhs and Isais, everyone has voted for that.
Okay.
This is an Indian government.
I would like to
I'm afraid I'm out of time. I want to leave it at that. Binay Kumar Singh, Atikur Rahman, and of course, Mr. BK Jain for joining us. We'll see. Like I said, this is basis a charge sheet that's been filed by the Maharashtra ATS, ANA and Anti-Terror Court. This will, of course, have to be proven at all three layers of jurisprudence, as it were, from the lower court to the high court to the Supreme Court. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, right on the other side, the death toll from the massive earthquakes in Turkey have now crossed 17,000. India's Operation Dost is on in full swing. We'll have latest details right on the other side of this clip.